Okay, I'm sorry about that. So try trial number 2. I didn't like that start anyways. So
Yeah.
I'll be better this time.
Okay.
Last.
We are live, but we are also on tape. It's a modern miracle. Chris Foulds, Marty Hastings, Mike, Bonnie. We are in the bowels of Leafs music, and it's episode 32. Valentine's Day is coming up here. Plans?
Yeah, Monday. No, it's a Hallmark holiday. I'm married. Once you get married, it's Valentine's Day is for card sales and for young lovers like you and your new special lady friend to blossom and to grow the romance. But it's good just to hang out, and we don't make a big deal of it. But I might make a nice dinner.
Way too early for that kind of talk with this. We've been on one date.
That's what I'm saying.
You probably just ruined it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's your new special lady friend. You got to grow up, and then you grow the love, and hopefully one day she can become your future ex-wife. So.
Okay, great show today. Arctic Chill cheerleaders from Freeze Athletics. They're going to Worlds in Orlando. I got a chance to go out and talk to these guys and girls. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Tara Holmes, Valentine's Day. We know her, and she's going to come and talk about her matchmaking service.
Yep.
And you want to talk a bit about COVID protocol changes in Saskey and Alberta and here in BC.
Yes, that's right.
You're also upset about the order of the show today.
Wasn't upset. I was at home last night working as usual until about 9:30 or 10, and you sent out the layout of the show, and we had spoken about this earlier, and you just accidentally inverted the two things, so it's not a big deal.
Let's talk about what really happened. Okay, I called you. You screened my call. You then sent me a text back, which is the worst thing you can do.
Actually,
so I went through, clanging and banging, organized the show, and then I get an email from you at 9 o'clock. This is amateur hour.
Yes.
And you want to switch it around. Meanwhile, the slides are already set in order.
Yes, but just for the viewers, not that anyone cares, yesterday was Tuesday. It was a deadline day for the newspaper, so it was very, very stressful. You get the paper out to press at 3:30 or 4, then you work until 8 or 9 because you got to keep the internet beast going, and you got to assign stories, and you got to clean up stuff. Yeah, I sent you. I didn't even get your phone call. I sent you.
Oh, yeah.
I was being proactive, and I said, "Here's what I want to talk about."
That's horseshit.
Here's what I'm
you
talking
got
about.
the
No,
call.
and then I sent it to you, and then later I get the lineup, and it was a little out of order, which is fine. And I said, "Well, let's just switch them around." And you said no. And I said amateur hour because it was amateur hour, so here we are.
And amateur hour starts right now.
That's
Let's
right.
talk about Pierre Poilievre and the COVID nutbars that you want to educate.
Yeah, it's so complex and confusing. So the convoy continues. We don't want to call them truckers because it's a bunch of people there who are opposed to the vaccine mandates, who are still clogging up the streets of Ottawa, the Coots border crossing, the Ambassador Bridge between Windsor and Detroit, etc. But and it was started by, and there's a really good thread online if you look at it. There's six or seven people behind this, and it's really not about the vaccine mandates. They tried to start this in 2019 before the pandemic. They really are a little bit unsettled in the mind because they believe the United Nations has a globalist conspiracy of white genocide and it's a Muslim thing, and they're just really, really weird people. There's a separatist, Alberta separatist behind it, and there's one of the pictures shows that there's a Trump advisor up here, and he's part of it. So it's just they just want chaos and uncertainty. And I just wanted to sort of touch on their demands. And they allegedly yesterday they revoked their MOU, their memorandum of understanding. But what they had was they had this piece of paper and they had this press conference in which they didn't invite any of the press because they don't trust us. 12:30 in the morning, just after midnight, and they had three guys at the podium and they're talking about what they want. Like they have as if they have a right to demand anything. But here's what we want. Yeah. And they want the dissolution of a duly elected government, Trudeau's Liberals, and if you don't like him, he was elected duly less than 5 months ago. They want him out, and they're willing. They said, we're willing, like they're doing us a favor. We're willing to sit down with the Governor General and the Conservative Party, of which Pierre is part, and we will form a coalition. It's bizarre time. And I just wanted to remind them and those supporters of them in Kamloops here that we're in a Westminster-style parliamentary. We're a constitutional monarchy. And you don't get to go there and say, I don't like this government and I'm willing to work with somebody. That opportunity was only 4.5 months ago. And the people who are behind this, most people are People's Party of Canada supporters. You had your chance freely September 20th, 2021, less than a half a year ago. you got 5% of the vote. Obviously, the majority do not agree with what you want. So you can't just force yourself in there like a spoiled kindergartner and want what you want.
And you mentioned Pierre Poilievre.
Well, he needs a refresher course too, although he's a career politician. He's 42 years old. He's declared that he's running for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada. But when he announced it on Twitter and on his social media, he said, "I'm running for Prime Minister." Well, no, you're not. Nobody runs for Prime Minister. We don't vote for Prime Minister in Canada. That might surprise a lot of people. In the States, you have a direct vote for the president. The guy or girl, the man or woman who gets the most votes generally becomes president based on electoral college. Up here, you don't vote for the Prime Minister. There's no direct vote for the Prime Minister. You vote for the candidate in your riding. In fact, you don't vote for a party in Canada. You vote for so you vote for Caputo. He is in the Conservative Party, and the leader of that party then becomes Prime Minister if they have the confidence of the House. This is what escapes all these people. They think, I'm not voting for Trudeau. Well, me neither. Nobody is. You can't vote for Trudeau.
I watched his State of the Union, too, their address that he gave to the country there on YouTube, and he's got his nervous twitch going there with his thumb, like it's Morse code or something. What do you think he's putting out to the public with that one?
I don't know if it's Morse code or whether it's that he's never held a job in his life. He's never had a real job. When he was 16 years old, he was selling Reform Party memberships for Jason Kenney, which tells me all I need to know about the guy. Well, and he worked for Stockwell Day, who is less worse than Jason Kenney. When he was 24 and a half years old, he got elected to be an MP, and he's been an MP ever since then. He's never done a real job. Before he got into politics, he wrote this essay for this book. What if I was Prime Minister, I would do this. And one of his most main points was a 2-term limit for MPs. You can't serve more than 2 terms. He's on his 7th term already, this guy. And he talks about milking the taxpayers. He's the biggest milker of taxpayers in the world. When he was 31 years old, 6 years after getting elected, he could have had his full pension. Full pension. Do you think we have a full, I know what his full pension is. It's me and you paying for this guy's digs.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not just picking on Pierre Poilievre, I'm picking on any career politician, from municipal to provincial to federal. Serve your time and get the hell out, let someone else in there.
Good. I mean, my point is not just him. These kind of prepared statements are so awkward to me, too. Yes. Like, he's doing his...
You were the boss.
Forced point that maybe only Michael Potestio has a more awkward throwback.
So, that is all for me for now. Back to you guys in the studio.
So, there you go. Although I will say, Michael, you did a better job today. We'll see that later on the last week click. And I think maybe the Morse code, he's saying, Marty, what's on special at New Leaf Produce Market? And it is, just so you know, 20% off this month at New Leaf Produce Market for Strauss Natural Products. Maybe they heal ticks. And Pierre should go down there and check out New Leaf Produce Market. My guy Herman.
He's got the thumb going, but it's not twitching.
If there is one thing, and one thing alone, that everybody knows, about New Leaf Produce Market, it always prevails. It is a juggernaut, just like its owner, Herman Hoti. And in November, yes, it was hard because the roads and some of his grade A produce, like the produce at Newfeld Farms, we couldn't get it up here. But guess what, folks? The roads are open and the shelves are stocked. Jacked and stacked. There's always a rainbow on the other side when it comes to New Leaf Produce Market. Get on down here to check it out. All right, you want to debate. You want to go head-to-head here on pizza.
That was part of my message to you yesterday, saying, hey, I'm being proactive because I'm so busy, but I'm being proactive. I thought I'd
amateur hour. Let's do this. Let's do that after the plan's already made.
No, I said, hey, because you always call me at like, midnight. What are you going to talk about tomorrow?
I called you at 4 p.m. yesterday.
Normally you call me at midnight and you say, what are you going to talk about in the show tomorrow? And meanwhile, I got so much going on.
You're talking about wieners on Facebook. No, that's what you're doing.
No, it was
Schneider's Wieners. I have it on record here. I can't wait to put it up on the screen right now.
I saw this great, those Facebook ads, they actually work and they're ruining our business, but they work because I saw this and it says, try this new relish on this hot dog. I thought, wow, I like hot dogs. And I like a Chicago hot dog.
That says a lot about your palate, right? Okay, it's a good start.
No, I mean, I was in Chicago once and I had a Chicago dog, a world famous Chicago dog. It was the best hot dog in the world, made one when I got back, and that made me think today is National Pizza Day. So I thought, why don't we liven it up a bit?
Like in Canada, or like International Pizza, or like World Pizza Day?
Well, it's National Pizza Day in Canada and the States, but then I don't know about Italy. But it's National Pizza Day. It's a day to promote the pizza. So I thought, rather than rail against the politicians all episode,
which we just did for 15 minutes.
We can't do it. We got to lighten things up. We're in a place.
No, I like the topic.
Okay,
I love the topic.
So why are you getting all mad about it?
I'm not. I'm just.
So I said, I like. you talked about...
You guys, hold on for a second here. I feel like I have to interject. Normally I don't, but I feel like we need to have like a counselor come in and help you guys out.
Actually, I'm seeing a counselor right now. Ursula, how you doing? We could use you in here. Okay.
I just think, okay, so I thought, let's lighten it up. Okay, so today's National Pizza Day. And I just said, and I sent you an email, and I'm being proactive. I'm busy. I can't afford this shit, but I do it anyway. I say, hey, let's talk about National Pizza Day.
Yeah,
let's
do it.
And I mentioned...
You like deep dish pizza.
I said deep dish Chicago style.
You're completely wrong compared to flat...
That's all I said.
Okay, no. So, your palate, clearly uneducated. Abbotsford palate, no question about it. You'd be at the Alder Inn, and you have these deep dish pizzas that are basically just all bread. Deep dish pizza, it's just bread. It's a big bread bowl.
No, it's not.
You have one slice, you're lethargic for the rest of the day. You're sleeping at 9 p.m. I'm on my thin crust, dancing on the D floor with all this energy, and I'm not full up, right? So it's unquestioned. Thin crust pizza is better than the deep dish. Look at that thing.
No, the deep dish.
One slice, you're done.
It's not about the. Have you had the red tomato pies in town here?
No.
Probably the best pizza in town that I've had. I've heard others are good.
We're looking for sponsors, red tomato pie.
And it's not just the deep dish dough. It's what they put on top of it. It's loaded with everything you can imagine.
That's a gluttonous mindset.
You go to Chicago,
right there.
you have a really good pizza like this. You go to New York, you have this thin slice, just like Lee, you were there, I was there. The margarita. And there's hardly anything on it. I don't know why do you like that? It's
want
like,
to
it's like cardboard.
Savor the taste, the simple ingredients, not just a gluttonous, just...
No, you have to put them on, with thought and care, and certain things go with other things. But the deep dish pizza, just like the Chicago-style hot dog, is something that's like a meal. It's a meal, and it's meant to be enjoyed and savored. It's like basically loving life. When you like the New York-style thin crust pizza, it's like you're not enjoying life. You're just getting by. It's not the same thing.
Okay, well, one thing I know for sure, good talk, is the cheerleaders from Freeze Athletics should not be having a deep dish before their
not before, but after they should.
In Worlds.
For sure.
Yes. Yeah, maybe after.
Yes,
Well, let's meet them right now. Untitled Hastings. Tyler Mead Photography there. Nice pick. That's Freeze Athletics. They're kind of right by our office. On
up in
Laval.
Southgate there. Yeah, in Laval, yeah.
Do you know much, have you seen the cheer documentary? Do you know much about...
I know about the competition. I know that it's really a sport where we thought it was just something, a sideline at a football game. And my daughter, Veronica, one of her best friends is Brooke from Savanaugh, and she used to teach these kids at Freeze Athletics before she moved to Victoria. So I talked to her a little bit about it. But yeah, it's really, really a serious competitive thing.
Yeah, and this is kind of a neat story that ties into the Pandy. 2020, I was invited out there. They were going to go to the Summit Championships in Florida 2 years ago, and then boom, the pandemic comes, crushes the spirits, crushes the dreams. They can't even it's all non-contact last year, which you can't really even do cheerleading non-contact. So that stunted their growth. But they still, as of this year, started their first level 5 team, which makes them eligible to go to the World Championship, which is the creme de la creme for the level 5 to 7 competitors. They were not expecting to qualify for the Worlds, but they did in their first year. And so some of these, it's co-ed, so guys and girls who were unable to go, dreams crushed, are now going back. It's a cool story, and we met them last Saturday.
We honestly didn't know if the first year we had a level 5 team that it would get us a bid, and so when we went to our first bid competition and we got awarded an at-large bid, it was a huge surprise, and yeah, it was, the kids were just so excited, and yeah, it was a moment for sure.
We're a small local gym from Kamloops, which is typically, we don't get recognized in a lot of big competitions, and Worlds is like the event. A really big accomplishment for us because the gym has worked so hard for so many years to make this dream of ours, and we finally get to experience that.
I was here a couple of years ago, and I was talking to a group of girls that were supposed to go to Florida, and the whole trip got canceled because of the pandemic. Were either of you on that team?
I was not. I was, and when we got the call from varsity saying they were going to cancel the next competitions in the next 10 weeks, it was absolutely heartbreaking because it was like, I just worked so hard for nothing, got ripped away.
What were the biggest challenges with the pandemic?
Well, online it's hard to do proper practices, and you can't do your stunts, and you can't tumble with not enough space, so it's hard to get new skills to upgrade your skills and get to a higher level.
Are you Scottish?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I love it. Me too.
Oh my gosh, it has been a struggle because I think like everyone else, I mean, you think you get through and it's like every wave you're like, okay, this is it. We're on the upswing. We're going to get back to it. And you just start building momentum and then it's like the next shutdown happens. And honestly, last year was really tough for our kids. I mean, we couldn't stunt. It was non-contact all year. So we were jumping and we were tumbling and we were dancing and competing virtually, but it was not the same. Like stunting is what makes cheerleading.
I can say most of the team, if not all of the team, has already watched that documentary and we talk about it all the time.
What do you think that documentary did for your sport?
I think it opened up like people's eyes to like it's not just pom-poms and glitter, like there's actually hard work and dedication that goes into the sport.
How grueling is the sport? And it's dangerous too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely like it pushes you to your like highest level. It's not like an easy thing to do. It takes lots of work and practice to get to like that level, and it takes blood, sweat, tears.
Our first in-person for real competition is March 6th, and that's the exact last one from 2 years ago. So it's going to be a moment for sure when we go back and we're back at provincials and we're competing in person because most of these kids haven't done it for 2 years. Unreal.
The Worlds Test is bigger than the Olympics. Like, it's a bigger deal, and to go to Worlds is everything that we've worked for. And I've been in cheerleading for 9 seasons, and like all of that work goes into this one team and getting the bid to go to Worlds, and the fact that we got it and our little team of 10 as the first Worlds team from Freeze gets to go, it's a dream come true. Yeah.
Honestly, that's the hardest part with any performance sport, I think, especially when it's like you train for years and you get 2.5 minutes and that's it. And sometimes that's your only performance if you don't make finals, right? So it's a lot of pressure. And it's almost a little bit of pressure because it's like, oh, did you see Freeze Athletics as a Worlds team this year? Oh, we should make sure we watch them. Let's see if they're good. You know, like there's eyes on you for sure and people are talking.
We're all so pumped to go. We're all so excited.
That is the team. I'll rattle off the names. I don't know if this is a cheerleading thing, but some real tough ones. They're just trying to throw the print guy off. But Abby Sutter, that's simple. Brooke Anderson, Corey Storkin, Kennedy Michaels, spelled M-I-C-H-E-L-S. Haley Desjardins, that was a tough one. Lori Prosnick, Analia Turner. Analia, I've never heard that name before. Name, yeah. Right there. Mm-hmm. Ella Gulamini, I hope I got that one right. Haley Schifferins and Jessica Rayside from Scotland. Your thoughts on the video?
It's very similar to the high-end U.S. college, you know, marching bands, not the marching bands, but the cheerleaders out there where you have the guys and the girls, and they're throwing them up, you know, 3 stories and coming down. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it also ties into events coming back. We had the Canada 55-plus games are coming to Kamloops this summer. That was announced yesterday. Hopefully, Mike, in general, do you think that we're ready for like a roaring 20s stretch here? The post, you know, they were post-war, we're post-pandemic. We're ready for one of those stretches here?
Well, the music industry has kept really good notes on what's happened in past, after depressions, after wars, after, you know, like 2008, that kind of stuff. And when times are tough, people turn to music. Mm-hmm. And the times have been tough. And the guitar sales are higher than they've ever been in the world. And so, yeah, I think we're going to have a ton of people that are going to really appreciate live music. They're going to really appreciate getting together with friends. And it's just going to be huge. So you should invest in your local music store right now.
Mike Miltimore, that's probably your best on Mike moment. And we actually had a request to get a Mike Miltimore cam going. So really? I'm down with that. If you can figure that one out finally, let's go. And let's get the Mike Miltimore cam going. I'm down with it.
Yeah, I think it'll be, I don't know if we'll get, you know, Flapper Girls and Speakeasies, but it's going to be a roaring 20s type of thing for sure.
I've never heard of Flapper Girls.
From the 20s.
I know about Speakeasies.
Well, yeah, from Fitzgerald and Hemingway.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they're the dancers, you know, the girls of the day. Back then it was kind of risque, but now it looks kind of just whatever. Flapper Girls.
Okay, fair enough. No, okay, but Saskatchewan yesterday, Alberta, rolling things back. That's partly why we can look forward, maybe in BC, to things opening up. But let's talk about that in Above the Folds.
BC, we still have our restrictions. Everyone knows what they are. We still have people protesting them and people adhering to them. We still wear masks inside. We still have to show our vaccine card to get into certain places. But across Canada, as I think as people's patience wears thin, and as the Omicron hospitalizations start going down, certain provinces have said, that's it, we're done. And it's not really in response to any of the protests. This was going to come anyway.
Do you worry about that, though, because they're going to maybe take credit for this, and does the movement grow because of that?
That's a good point. They might say, see what we've done, and that might happen, but they've been talking about this well before the convoy started, and especially the two provinces we're talking about. We're talking about Scott Moe, the Premier of Saskatchewan, and Jason Kenney, the Premier of Alberta. Alberta yesterday said, that's it, we're done. So as of right now, today, as we film, we're filming on February 9th, midnight, like 9 hours ago.
When you were emailing me about the show.
When I was working at midnight, Alberta lifted all the restrictions, so you don't have to show a vaccine card anymore to go in. You don't have to wear masks. What they have done is let every city decide what they want to do, and every venue. So, for example, the Calgary Flames, the Calgary Sports Entertainment Company, whatever that runs the Saddle Dome, you still have to wear a mask in there, and they still have 50% capacity until at least March. They're gonna just take it easy on there. So it's the province as a whole said we're not doing any more. The cities can do their own thing, so I think that's kind of a fair thing to do. Tomorrow or Friday, we're going to have Bonnie Henry talking about what our plans are. And the word on the street from the political reporters in Victoria is that by Family Day, which I think is the 21st, we should have some of the restrictions being eased. I don't think we're going to get rid of the vaccine mandate card because she said it's in place until at least June 30th unless things change. But you might see other things eased like gathering restrictions and stuff like that by Family Day.
What we can do, for sure, is go out for Valentine's Day dinner. And we want to get the opinion of our resident matchmaker, Tara. Do you call her Tara or Tara Holmes?
It's Tara.
It should be Tara, but I think she goes by Tara.
Well, she's trying to be fancy
trying to be a hero with that.
Scottish or something like that. Tara.
Let's bring her in and ask her about her name. The other way.
Yeah, a little bit more. Down.
No, we're not looking for a cleavage shot here. Up a little bit.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Can we go back to Freeze Athletics for a sec?
Let's talk about it.
Okay, because I have to tell you, I have been following them on Instagram since the beginning, and I love them, and I just love watching their tumbling and everything they've done. And my stepson actually coaches over there, Jean-Luc LaRouche, so I'll give him a plug because he's one of the coaches over there, and they're so awesome. I love watching their Instagram.
I want to talk about one subject in particular off the bat here. I know Bonnie, I know Mike, Chris, they all agree with me. The first date handshake, that's what you do, right?
Maybe it's something that you broach before you actually meet, because chances are you're texting, you're emailing. So maybe you could mention something, or even just act kind of, Marty's good at this, acting awkward anyway. Just as soon as you approach someone, just sort of say, hey, I know it's weird times right now. Like, I don't want to offend you, so I won't touch you. Ha, ha, ha. We'll wait till after the date. You know, just have some fun with it. You know, and someone just told me that someone gave them a little hug after their first date, and they thought that was nice. But never, 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 ever even think about kissing on the mouth after the first date. Please don't do it.
Yeah, I know. Actually, the last first date I had, there was a hug. And it was good, so I think I've changed my ways a bit in my stance on the handshake. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Any questions for Tara here, Chris?
It was interesting because the first computer dating profiles were in 1959 in Stanford University, where the students put these. Remember those old computer punch cards with all the holes and all the answers in this huge mainframe computer to try to match up students. But it was interesting. You often mention why your matchmaking in person might have an advantage over online dating.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's face it. And one thing that I did talk about in the column in today's paper as well is that a lot of people are so frustrated with it, and they're tired of being duped and people not being representative of who they are. And let's face it, if you've seen Dirty John on Netflix, and these things are happening in real life. And I've actually met with people who, sad to say, have been scammed. It's very sad, actually.
So business must be good for you right now. Those earrings are probably just straight diamonds. You're probably loaded.
Well, let's give your matchmaking business a quick plug. In that, so if I'm a single guy like Marty looking for a special lady friend and striking out online over and over and over, what do you do that is different or better than online? I tell people, well, unlike online, Tara meets every single person and she can tell through meeting them that no algorithm can whether or not this person is good for this person, because the matchmaker, either knows or has met both people. Is that the gist of it?
Absolutely. Sitting down and meeting someone face to face is the way to go, because you can say, oh, I really like hiking and I really like skiing. but do you? Are you really saying that? Like, and also at one version of hiking, someone could say they like hiking and another person could say they like hiking. One person's hike could be a little stroll, like you see Earl Sites on Schubert Drive. That could be
the other one's at Kelly
Don't
Hall.
ever take
Kelly
a shot
Hall
at
going
Earl.
up Everest.
Don't be taking shots at Earl Sites on the show.
I actually just as a segue, I was walking my dog, and Earl Sites was coming toward me a few weeks ago, wearing a great fit. He looked so good, even when he's retired, and he smelled good. Anyway, I had a toque on, and he didn't recognize me. And I said, "Hey, it's Chris. We had that interview. And we had talked for a long time, and he had his little dog. And anyway, he walked away, and he looked great. I mean, he could be, walking away, he could be sort of like a photo for your matchmaking service, saying this could be you in the future.
He's married. He's okay.
No. I mean, just like here's a guy with this dog, and that could be you and your wife after you get married. Yeah.
I love Earl. He'd be a great. Earl's happily married, and so there's another man in town. If I could clone him, I would be laughing, and that's Charlie Bruce. You guys probably know Charlie Bruce.
Charlie Bruce, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, like you want to talk hiking and outdoor activities, that's what it's all about. But yeah, I mean, meeting people, so that way when I connect with another person and say, look, I've met this person, don't judge their photo, because photos are awful. Oh my gosh, they're just not the way to judge people. And we're just starting to swipe and looking at profiles, and meeting in person is the only way to know you can have chemistry.
Bryce Herman, also a guy that we
Bryce
Herman. What a sexy
I'm a Bryce guy.
We should clone him.
I'm a Bryce guy. Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing. Hey, what about giving gifts? Gifts on dates. Is that a no-no? Is that too corny? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a little much, because I think that people can get creeped out a little bit. I listen to too many true crime podcasts, I suppose. But I think that if you really are getting to know someone first, sometimes a lot of people like to break the ice with a little banter, whether you're texting or emailing or maybe faxing, if you are Earl. But if you're getting to know someone and you hear them say something like, oh my God, my favorite chocolate bar is Wonder Bar. Well then, now how cool would it be to show up and
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, just a little. It shows you were listening, right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me give you an example. So I had been texting with this girl back and forth who you actually set us up, and we've been joking about ghosting each other, right? So it was around Halloween time, and I went and I bought this little ghost thing from the dollar store, and I'm thinking, okay, after the date, if it goes well, I'll give it to her. It'll be funny. And it was just not going to be a second date, so it never made its way out of my car. But you think that was stupid or what?
No, I love it. You know what? Humor. People are attracted to different things. And though some people say, oh, I'm attracted to kindness, or some people are attracted, being funny and having a sense of humor are two very different things. Like my first husband, funny. My husband now is not funny, but he has a good sense of humor. So we get my first husband over to make us both laugh. Like, you're funny, Marty. So that is going to get you all the way past your looks. You're going to be
woo! Oh, yes.
You're good to go. Funny is the most attractive thing in my books. And I just want to say, I love your product placement. Yes.
By the way, thanks to McDonald's for these coffees. Brandy, I sent you an email. Let's talk.
Well, I also think more couples fight on Valentine's Day than love, because they're comparing what other couples got. Yeah. Like, they're saying, well, look at all the flowers that she got, or look at all this. So I think that it's as rewarding to give on Valentine's Day. So if you're not in a romantic relationship, who cares? Being single is awesome, but you can be as rewarded by surprising someone with flowers on Valentine's Day. Maybe, someone has become widowed this year, and you think, I'm going to just really make that person happy, or I'm going to send a coworker, someone that's had a tough time lately, or someone who's doing amazing things. Sending them flowers, it doesn't mean you have to be all, Eeyore and woe is me if you're not in a relationship.
Well, big surprise here. This interview's running long. Number one deal breaker, Tara. What's the number? Because people send in what their deal breakers are, right? Oh, it's smoking.
Yeah, smoking. People it's the number one, men and women. Okay, so put it this way. Out of 800 people that have contacted me in 5 years, 789 of them say smoking's a deal breaker. Wow. So, I'm not saying that smokers are not worthy of love. Obviously, there's a lot of smokers out there who are happy in love. But right now, with people looking for relationships, when they come to me, for whatever reason, they're really into health and activity and being out there. And women care more about health than wealth. I can tell you that.
Is that including the dope, or is that cigarettes only?
that was an interesting time, because when it became legal, there are some people who are just non-starters. No vaping, no smoking, no cannabis. Other people say, you know, as long as someone doesn't have to do a mind-altering substance every day to get through the day, you know, if that's their choice, and maybe once a week, you know.
I don't smoke weed or cigarettes, by the way.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things. Yeah, see, look, you're funny, you don't smoke, you like the outdoors, like you're a catch.
This is not, okay, let's move on. Okay, any final thoughts here, Tara?
Oh, no, I want one last question. Because, and it's very, very timely, the Olympics are happening right now. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. I want you to tell us that story when you came home and your husband, yes.
No!
Yes, it's a funny story, and we need to go out on a funny note.
Well, I'll tell the story, but I'm sure that Mike Miltimore in the bowels.
Oh, come on.
Deep down in the bowels.
Mike gets worse calls from Austin. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. This is great.
It is true. In fact, right now we live separately, my husband and I, because he's addicted to the Olympics. And when we first got together, he went to Vancouver to 2010 to see the Olympics. He is obsessed with every event. He watches them all. And when we first got together, I was feeling sorry for myself. I didn't think the relationship was going to work because he wasn't even like paying attention to me. So when he got back from Vancouver, he came in and I was like, you know, all dressed up, and he was right by me and turned the TV on, and I was just like, oh my God, you know, this isn't going to work. And then he looks over at me and he says, pulls something out of his pocket, and he says, honey, look what I ordered for us tonight. And I'm like, what's that? And he said, Olympic condoms. And he said, tonight I'm wearing gold. And I said, why don't you try silver and come second for a change?
Oh yeah,
I love that, and it's only better because her husband Chris is the nicest guy in Kamloops. Reader's Choice Award, nicest guy in Kamloops. No, very nice.
Good place to leave it right there, Tara. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. Happy Valentine's Day. And I'm enjoying the show. It's just getting so great. I love it. I love where you've taken this thing, Marty. I know you worked so hard on it, and Chris, you too as well, but the passion is great. And I love the segments are awesome. Your interview with Henry and everybody. I even people who I'm not really that interested in, I watch the interviews because you make it interesting.
Cool.
Good.
Thank you for the plug, Tara. We appreciate it. Cheers. Okay, always lively. We knew that was going to be a good interview, and it was. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, Tara's great. She's funny, and she's boisterous, and well, she's like a Kamloops booster, right? She's the booster of Kamloops. Like she says on Valentine's Day, she's going to be delivering flowers. I bet you she's doing that as a volunteer. She's a huge volunteer.
Michael Potestio, how do you think his love life is going?
Well, it's a good question. I don't know. Yeah. I hope it's going well for Michael.
A bit more confidence with his throwbacks in the last week.
His birthday was just yesterday, so hopefully, hopefully his birthday wish was maybe a special lady friend, and he can end up going out on Valentine. Maybe double dates with you.
No chance. His haircut looks good, though. I will say that, and we'll check that out right now in the last week.
This week's paper, we've got the details of a new vaccine policy introduced for school staff in SD 73. And also, you've probably seen Miss Kamloops around town, but the next time you see her, that won't be her title. There have been some changes made to the Kamloops Ambassador program this year, and youth of all genders are going to be invited to take part. So check that story out as well.
This week I'm following calls for TNRD Board Chair Ken Gillis to step down in the wake of the TNRD spending scandal. 4 directors have now publicly called for him to resign. Also this week, the City Council got a look at supplemental budget items. We know that Council is staring down a nearly 5% tax rate increase right now. And so they're going to have some difficult decisions. Among the business cases that came forward on Tuesday included a request from downtown residents to upgrade a rail crossing to alleviate some of the nuisance noise that they've been experiencing. And so we're going to be following along with that one.
And then on the front page this week, we have a story about Kamloops' first homicide of the year. It was absolutely a jaw-dropping revelation from the Kamloops RCMP earlier this month that they found the body, 18-year-old Sahali student, found murdered in a parking lot at St. Joe's Cemetery on the Kamloops Reserve. Police are investigating the murder here and are asking the public to send in any tips or information they may have from the night of January 28th and 29th. He was found in the parking lot deceased on the morning of January 29th. And on a lighter note, we also have a story about the rebounding Kamloops transit system. At the onset of the pandemic last year, it took a huge drop off. You see in the ridership numbers went from about 15,000 people boarding per week to about 3,000 people boarding per week. But things have rebounded, and as of last month, they're back up to about 75% of pre-pandemic levels, which is good news. Glad to see some things getting back to normal amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys for now. Let's take it back to Marty and Chris in the studio.
Good stories, just good stories. We have interesting stories. One of the more interesting stories in today's paper, February 9th, and online at KamloopsLastWeek.com, is a story under the community tab. Is by Sean Brady, and it's a story I assigned to him because I heard it from one of our sales reps. And it's about the Kamloops Ambassador Society. It's that in the old days it was Miss Kamloops, and you had Miss Kamloops and the princesses. And this year, for the first time, they're opening up to all genders. So if anyone wants to join up to do it, so they're getting rid of those titles, which I think is a cool thing, because a lot of people want to join, but they think, well, maybe it's only for boys, or well, maybe it's only for girls, or maybe for only adults, maybe only for kids. So that's a really interesting story in our paper today.
I had a question for you. Who is the J.D. Salinger of the last week clique?
Oh, the J.D. Salinger would be probably Dave Eagles.
Exactly.
Right now.
One time he came on.
Twice. Once he was shaving, another time he did another one.
I think wasn't it just one time?
I think he was on twice.
I think he came on one show and he dominated like his Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, I think he did too, like a Franny and Zooey, and then he disappeared into the mist. But
the Hawk and the Huckleberries.
We'll get the Hawk back into it for next week for sure. In fact, get the Hawk loaded up with some more stories too. I think he's enjoying a little bit of downtime right now. One last thing before we go. It's February 9th now. The Super Bowl is this weekend.
Yeah,
big wagering too. Lots of bets, lots of this and that. Love it for gambling. Who's going to win? It's a 4.5 point spread right now. The Rams are favored by 4.5 over the Bengals. It's the second time in history and second time in a row in which the stadium, the team's playing in their own stadium. The Rams.
Yeah. I have the Bengals. All because of Joe Burrow, whose father
played for the Montreal Alouettes. Played with Wally Buono. Played up here for 5 or 6 years.
We can get Wally on the show. We should get Wally on the show to talk.
Should have Wally on this week instead of Tara, because we talked about football.
Okay, 19,000 views per month across all platforms. We are looking for more sponsors. Get in on the ground floor while you can. Mike, Bonnie, Lee's Music. Thank you for everything you do. Subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast provider to Kamloops Last Week. Lane and Brandy from McDonald's, give us a call. To Herman, to New Leaf Produce Market. Scott Finley and the Grand Ones. That's Chris Foulds. I'm Marty Hastings, and this is Kamloops Last Week. We'll see you last week.